What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is episode 33 of Track Talkers, and we have a very special guest with us here. It's actually pretty early in the morning in Cali. Usually we do this thing at nighttime, but Chauncey from Motocross, the game, the future of motocross video games is finally here. We've been waiting for this for like, I don't know. I've been waiting for this since I was like a little kid. I think the last game, I played Supercross the game 3. I played Reflex way too much, more than I want to admit.
Yeah.
But then I started to kind of get into PC games, played MX Bikes. MX Bikes is fun, but you got to be very invested. It's like it's a lot of commitment, a lot of different things. But I absolutely loved it, and to hear that you guys are coming out with a video game that's also going to be on console / PC, very excited about that. And then when the visuals came, Chauncey, I think everybody was blown away. Like even that first snippet of the game on Instagram was incredible. And I think everybody realized, like, at that moment with the detail that you guys put into everything, it was like, these guys are the real McCoy, and they're ready to get down to the nitty gritty and make a motocross game that's like, wow, this is going to be the real deal.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, I think just like everybody else that says, oh man, we've been waiting for this for years, I mean, so have we, and that's kind of the origin story, I mean,
totally.
That's really why we wanted to do it. Was we've all been waiting for the perfect game and kind of just got fed up and was like, you know what, let's just do it ourselves.
I mean, that's the best way to do it. If you want something done right, do it yourself. First things first. How long has this thing been in the making, bro?
I've been personally involved for, it's been about 8 months now, and they've been going quite a bit longer than that. So over a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where did the idea like originally arise? Who started the whole thing? And like when you got brought on board, what was the conversation?
So Nico is the one that originally started everything before I was involved. But my onboarding is actually pretty funny, and it seems like a crazy story. Like doesn't even sound true, but I promise that it is. I have my own brand, right? Reaper Doc, which is my own content and everything.
Yeah.
And so I'm always trying to figure out what's the next thing for me. How do I expand the brand outside of just TikTok or whatever?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, man, what is this going to look like in 5 or 10 years for me? Am I still just going to be playing MX Bikes when I'm, at that time I'll be 40, right? Like that seems, I'm already older, like, am I still going to be grinding aerial pro races and MX Bikes at 40 years old? I don't think so. So I was trying to think of, man, what do I do? What's the move down the road? I've built a big community and I want to continue it. And so literally one morning I woke up and I was like, we should make a game. And I like told my wife, and she was like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you don't know how to make a game, And
that seems like a big undertaking, my guy.
Yeah. I mean, I know that they cost so much money, and I have no skills in that. I don't know how to make a game.
Yeah, like where do you even start?
So, yeah, exactly. And I didn't know how to start, so I decided to just think about it, pray about it for a while, and started writing things down and kind of had a vision of a game.
Yeah.
And continued to pray about that for weeks. It was about 3 or 4 weeks. And I wrote down a team of people that I thought would be perfect to make a game. Yeah. And I'm not kidding. I was playing MX Bikes. I crashed and I got frustrated and was like, I'm going to send this email to these people because we need to fix this. Like, we need to make our own game.
You crashed in MX Bikes, and that's what dinged it.
Yeah, that was my trigger. Was like, yeah, I'm over this. Like, this is really frustrating. We need to do something. And so
man,
I
that's
reached
amazing.
out. I reached out to
did
this
you
team.
huck the controller or did you not? Don't lie.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm past that, you know.
No rage
That's
quitting.
10
No
years
rage
ago.
quitting. Yeah.
No, yeah. Catch me Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, maybe. But
oh, that's awesome.
Anyway, so I reached out to these guys, about 6 people on Discord, and basically just pitched them this game that I had the idea of that I had been working on. Well, Nico was one of the people. And he immediately called me and was like, yo, he sent me an NDA and was like, dude, where did you where did you get this idea for this game? I was like, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I woke up one morning and was like, we should do this. And he was like, I could tell he was a little skeptical. And he's like, okay,
what do you know?
Yeah. And then was like, what about this group of people that you said you want to have involved in the game? And I'm like, well, they're the best, aren't they? Like, would you disagree with me? And he goes, well, no. That's why I hired them to work on this game. That literally
is so funny.
Like, basically, the game that I pitched to them was what they were working on, and they were planning to put me on the team like the next week anyway.
Wow!
And so that's how I got involved. Just total craziness.
I mean, that's a little, I don't like, this is a little weird for sure, right? Is that not like weird?
I made a YouTube video on it and the comments are like, you gotta be lying. There's no way this is true. You obviously made this up. And I'm like, man, like, you can ask my mom, you know? I even told my mom.
Ask my mom straight up. That's awesome.
I even told my mom, you know? Like, I wouldn't lie to my mom.
Okay, so that's crazy. I'm still blown away.
Insane. Yeah, it's wild.
So when's the release date of this thing? Let's skip a little
Straight
bit.
Into it.
When's the release date? Let's get these people involved that are listening right now. When's the release date of the game?
V1 will be basically Q4 2025 is what we're shooting for. End of the year 25.
So we're looking
is what we have locked in.
September-ish.
September to December, Q4.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
yeah.
Okay, so more December than probably late November, December area of 2025.
Yeah, I would plan on that.
Okay.
Obviously, we don't want to rush anything. You know,
no.
We want to make sure that we want to deliver a good product, and there's been a million examples throughout the years of games that commit to a time and then push something out that's should have just waited a couple weeks. You know, and we want to make sure that we're delivering a top quality product. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, come on, from the little Instagram clips that we've seen so far, we know that, you know, and and I'm not trying to necessarily rush you guys. You guys into release
Everyone's excited. I know.
Yeah, I know. We're excited. We want to know, like, okay, when is this thing coming? Okay, so we have a general area, you know, plus or minus 10 years, you know.
No.
That's what we're talking what is it, GTA 6?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the jokes are incredible. But
I mean, gosh, GTA 6 was announced. I don't even know how long ago, but
right?
You see memes of people saying like, you know, they went into preschool when GTA 6 was announced, and you know, now they're graduating high school or something. You know,
oh, that is so funny.
It won't be that, I promise.
Okay, so we're not doing that, thank God. Hopefully, somewhere around either the end of 2025 or the beginning of 26, we are going to have the best motocross game in history. I'm claiming it right now. We'll see how that ages, but I think it's going to age well. Chauncey, what's your gamer history? What's your involvement in the game? You know, we talked a little bit off of this podcast about that, and I think that's important. So tell us a little bit about your gamer history and I guess why you're involved.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. My personal story, I'll try to give you the short version of it.
Perfect.
I was never a gamer. I mean, I always liked playing video games, but this isn't what I've always done for a living. I used to be a project manager in construction and production manager and led a lot of teams.
Okay, well, that definitely correlates, right?
Yeah. And I ended up getting hurt and had some issues with my brain and lost my job, lost my license, a bunch of stuff. And I started making YouTube videos to try and make some cash on the side for my family, and basically just built a brand to what it is now. And then part of that was there was a professional race in MX bikes, which sounds silly to say, but
but there was. Real. I mean, we're all gamers. We know what's up. You know what I mean?
There was a big pro race where they decided to take the top 10 in the world. Basically, we did a month of qualifiers and did top 10 in the world, and they sent the top 10 to Milan, Italy to compete in a big LAN event. Well, wow. I squeaked in there in 10th. Okay, I mean, it was we qualified though. You know,
what I mean? It does not matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, I've qualified really, really crappy in actual Supercross, and then it was my best night in racing. So as long as you're in, you're in. You're in the race. That's all that matters.
Man, that was stressful. It came down to the final round, and it was me and my teammate. And anyway, we got in there, and I ended up going to this LAN event, and this is actually where I met Nico and a lot of the team that's on Motocross the game. They were there, and I met them. And you know, I have a big following, or a larger following, I guess. Totally. And Nico and I have spent a lot of time in conversation with each other. He's seen that. I've helped him a lot in the back end with some of his other, you know, side projects and whatnot. And then I have my project manager background. And so that was really how I think why I got involved was, hey, you're good at marketing because you market your own brand. You have some project manager background, so you have some leadership skills. Let's bring you in. And so now I do all of the business development stuff for Motocross the game. The shake hands, smile, podcasts, and marketing stuff.
Totally. Cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's important too. You know, like I think somebody in your position needs to be good at games, and they need to be involved in motocross games, because I see, you know, it's really hard because a motocross game is a real true core fan base. I mean, we all ride, you know, like guys that play F1 don't really drive F1 cars. They just dream of driving an F1 car. You know, guys that play motocross games ride motocross.
Right.
That's what we do. And I think that's why it's been so hard to kind of correlate a motocross game and execute, not only because there's so many things that are going on in a motocross game in the physics wise, but also that we know what it feels like to ride, and that's the feeling that we want to get. And I truly believe that you guys are on track to do that, and I'm excited for the game next year. But let's move on and let's start talking about the game.
Let's do it.
So, talked a little bit yesterday, or the day before it was, I think.
A couple days ago.
And you talked about how they're not so much focused on the career mode of the game and more focused on the esports aspect. So, when you go to play the game, will there even be any kind of career mode, or will it be just straight, we want a game that you can race with your friends, and we're gonna put everything into that?
Yeah, I think, you know, we're all very passionate about competition. You know, like you just said, we're all racers, you know, and there's motocross riders are a very special breed of human beings. And we're all very competitive, right? And whether it's, you know, bottom of C class or at your level or whatever, we all want to almost die for a plastic trophy, right? Like that's what we do. And gaming is kind of the same thing. We all want to compete and we all want to do that. And so I think all of us are very passionate about the esports side, competition.
Same here.
And it's really, I feel like, a huge open market for motocross. It hasn't really been executed well, like in iRacing or something like that. And so we really want to do that. Now, we do understand and like the idea of some sort of career or story-driven mode, but I just wouldn't expect it out of the gate. And it would be something down the road. But, you know, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, To me, like, I always liked playing the career mode stuff like that when I was younger, but as I got older, like, it's the same thing. It's like, I don't really want to go to the track and ride by myself.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
I want to ride with my buddies. I want to call my 4 buddies up or whoever that is, and I want to go ride with my buddies. And that's really what's opened up. And I know this sounds weird and I'm aging myself, but that's what's opened up with video games being online. You know, it's so much more fun to put your headset on and talk shit with your boys about how you just smoked them or teed them up or whatever that is. You know, I definitely do appreciate a good career mode. I'm like the type of guy that likes to play every single aspect of the game. You know what I mean? Like sit down and complete the career mode and do all the little challenges and achievements. I like playing the whole game. I like getting the whole aspect. But when it comes down to it, no matter what game I play, I want to either play online with my bro, like literally my brother, or, you know, I want to play a supercross or motocross game online with my friends. And I don't know. I appreciate that.
I mean, I think gaming has changed a lot over the last, I don't know, 6 to 10 years, maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, it has become so much more social than it used to be. Like you said, I mean, it used to all be this, you know, single player experience, and it has really turned into a social experience. And you know, that started back on Fortnite and you know, Apex Legends when they first came out and all that. And now, you know, there's people with better relationships because of video games, and they've never met the people.
Dude, I was actually just talking. We did a podcast with Matt Burkeen or like 3-4 days ago, whatever it was. I met Matt through playing Supercross the game. You know what I mean? Like, and now we're buddies in person and we talk on the podcast. It's like, I mean, it's so true. That's funny how you said that.
One of my chat moderators for my own content, I met him through playing video games. I'm his best man in his wedding this year. I've only met him twice in person, you know?
Oh my gosh. That's so freaking cool.
It's super cool. Anyway, all that being said, the competitive side, the social side is really what we're passionate about. And I think it's really important to make sure that we're making a game that we're passionate about, because that's how you guys will get the best product.
Yeah. Is there any highlights from the online esports multiplayer side of it that you are excited about that you can tell us about, or not yet?
LAN events is my thing. That's the thing I'm excited about. You know, consistent tournaments, consistent leaderboards that are updated, that kind of stuff is what really gets me excited, and I think what gets a lot of other people excited.
I love that. Okay, moving on. Chauncey, will there be a track builder start of the game eventually? Maybe. Is that something? What are you thinking?
Let me put on my PR hat here. It's an interesting one to navigate. So I'll start by saying, you know, we really understand the value of player-created content. With the game being so focused on esports and wanting to bring real-life brands in and have it be as official and realistic as possible, it's something we have to be really careful of. I'm not saying no, it's on our Kickstarter as a goal. So it's something that we have planned and we're interested in. I would not expect it shipped with the game, you know, at launch. But it is something we're aware of how important it is to the community.
Okay. What about, like, what are the plans of, and you might not be able to answer this yet, but is there a lot of plans to add to the game additionally after the release, or is it something where you're just going to perfect everything that is released on, you know, on the actual release date, and then maybe down the road we're going to add more stuff? Or is it a pretty big plan or push to kind of, okay, this is the release of the game and we are going to constantly add things to this game to keep it updated?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a live service, which is basically we'll ship the game and then look at other games and other genres, like I've already mentioned Fortnite or Apex Legends, where they have seasons that have months of content and then a little break and then another season and months of content. And that's really our focus as well. We want to, this is not something that like, hey, cool, we've shipped it in December and cool, we'll see you next year for Motocross Game the 2. You know, no, that's not the plan at all. This is a long-term, ever evolving title that's just going to keep growing and adding and growing and adding.
Yeah. So Motocross the game. You guys want to focus on real life brands.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about that. I mean, I love that aspect because that's what we all want, right? We want a kind of a virtual reality. We want those live, real life brands to be involved. Are you trying to kind of get everybody? Is there certain people that are, what do you want to call it? Like more in favor? Or is it kind of just we want everything and everyone we can get because we want it to be real?
Yeah, I think we want as much opportunity as possible for the player. We don't want to limit it to, oh, you like this style of handlebar? Well, sorry, we are only working with that people. So we would really like it to be as much as possible.
Yeah.
And as many bike brands, as many official series. And you can see we're already doing that. We just recently announced our partnership with Arena Cross.
Yep.
With 180 decals, with Race Tech. We're starting that process now. And every time we announce something, it just creates more of a stir in the industry of like, oh gosh, we got to be involved in this. And
absolutely.
And it's just getting more and more. So it's just the beginning now. But yeah, I guess to simply answer your question, as much as possible and really want to provide as many options for the player as possible.
So who's involved right now, realistic wise, for the fans? Who have you announced? Who have you announced?
We've announced Race Tech, 180 decals.
Okay.
Arena Cross.
Yep.
And
FXR,
more coming.
I think, right?
FXR. More coming soon.
Yeah. What does that list look like right now? Like the more coming soon? Are we talking like
long
hundreds of sponsors? Are we talking 50? What's the list look like?
Long and growing. I would say at the moment probably around that 50 range, but
yeah,
longer. It's growing.
Yeah, growing as the more kind of, I guess, other brands see the involvement. Yeah, it's like, okay, yep, we got to get on board with this. Well, we're going to get to the nitty gritty here.
Let's do it.
Physics.
My favorite. Physics. Yes, sir.
You think we can try to give John a call really quick and see if he's...
I think we should.
Yeah, let's give John a call. Introduce John really quick before we call him.
John is... I kind of like to look at John as the implementation of physics. So we have two physics guys currently, and one of them is kind of the behind the scenes, the engine, and then John does a lot. He also does a lot of our 2D art, but he is kind of the implementation, what the player will feel behind the physics. And he's an absolute legend. He's been around in the gaming modding scene since I think back as far as Unleashed.
Wow.
And has really been a crucial part in MX bikes as well. Pretty much how I say it is anything good about MX bikes right now probably comes from John.
Wow.
How he has figured a lot of this stuff out, a lot of the issues with, a lot of the tires and the issues with the bikes. John has really helped solve a lot of those issues.
Okay, so John's the guy.
Very smart.
That's like
his brain is very large.
That's kind of what you. That's how I sum that up. John's the physics guy. So how your game feels is up to John, and John is one of the best.
Yeah, John works with our other physics guy, but yeah,
John's the head of the team.
No, the other physics guy is actually.
Okay.
I spent an entire week with both of them in California, which they were at a Race Tech seminar, which we'll get into here.
Yeah.
And what was that?
Go ahead. That was my phone. That was my phone ringing, Chauncey.
Oh, I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
Anyway, I spent an entire week in California with these guys, and they were at a race tech seminar. And man, listening to them talk about physics and everything was just mind blowing, and how they're able to understand what clickers do and how to make it work in a video game. Like, it's one thing to understand suspension, but then how to turn it into a code and make it work is just
that's like a whole nother level. Yeah, like,
dude, it's
how
insane.
do you translate one click stiffer on the fork?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, well, let's
I was homeschooled, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I love it. Okay, well, let's see if we can find out. Let's see if we can get our guy John on the phone really quick. I'm gonna give him a call right now. John.
Hey, hello.
Oh, there he is. Let's go.
Yeah, I was not expecting a call on the phone. I was actually waiting in Discord, but
oh, it's all good. We just wanted to get you on the phone. Welcome to the podcast, Track Talkers. You're here with Adam and Ticknap, and already Chauncey. But we wanted to get in a little bit of the nitty gritty of the physics part. So with Motocross the game, you guys started from the ground up, correct?
Yeah, we started from the ground up. That's correct. Because there's nothing out there that suits our needs.
So John, what's your goal with the game as far as physics wise and your end? Where did you start at, and what's the goal, and what's the end goal for you to get out of Motocross the game?
That's a big question.
It's a very big question.
Yeah. For us, like the main thing is that motocross, it's a very complicated sport. A lot is going on, and we want to get all that complexity, but also like you said, all the nitty gritty parts into it. Like, if we want some. Actually riding in real life, something that gives you goosebumps when you hit the limiter, etc., or when you go through the turn and you slightly slide out and then just grip up again. Like that's an awesome feeling, or jumping a really big jump. It's something emotional, and we want to have that emotion in there as well. Not just be a game that you play for. Of course, you play it for fun as well, but we also want that thrill that you get from real.
Seems like John's breaking up.
What we want to do with this game as well.
Yeah. So I heard you took a trip out to California. Did you get to go? I think you guys went out.
It was really, really awesome.
Yeah. Did you guys get to go to Paula and check out the track over there at Fox Raceway?
Yeah, we were there one morning, which was really.
Dang it, John is.
I mean, we do stuff different here in Europe.
Yep, totally. So let's talk about the Cali trip just a little bit, John. I heard you guys went over to Race Tech and learned and kind of just soaked in some knowledge about suspension and trying to figure it out so that can be translated into the game. What were some of the biggest aspects that you guys learned from that trip?
Well, first of all, it was really just an awesome opportunity to actually just learn from Paul Teague, who owns Racetech, and just him sharing all his experience with the sport and suspension in general, but also with riding. Or suspension, or tune your bike geometry to get a certain feeling when you're riding the bike, because a lot of that stuff is true for us as well, seeing that we're in a simulation. So a lot of that applies there as well. And that was really awesome to hear all the stories, but also just be able to soak up all the experience from someone that has been around in the industry for so long.
Yeah. So what was the experience that he kind of talked to you about? Was that experience of what riders like as far as suspension wise? Was that shim stacks and how he's creating and making a setting inside suspension? Is that where what a setting could be from a smooth track to a rough track? What were some of those experiences that he shared with you that was beneficial for the game? John, are you there?
Run suspension dynos. So actually have a dyno working and then going through what suspension actually does and be able to put that inside a graph. And that data for us is very valuable because this allows us to
bummer.
I know that sucks.
Like same proximity.
Yeah. Well, you're breaking up a little bit, John. We appreciate you taking the phone call. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here, and we look forward to Motocross the game coming soon.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cool. Have a good
one.
Heck yeah, have a good day. Thanks.
See you, John.
Bye.
Well, we got bits and pieces of that, but
I know that he was breaking up a little bit, but I know that the thing that what he was trying to say at the end, what they were breaking up was the thing that was most valuable to them was just the data, really.
Yeah.
They both are extremely experienced in suspension and geometry, and they know how to do it.
Yes.
Obviously, they learned from, generations almost of knowledge, but really the most valuable part was the data, the curves, all of that stuff that's pretty difficult to obtain just on the regular market, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so having that information to either reference or directly use really gives us I think a huge leap ahead of where we would have been.
Big leap. Because that's kind of newer technology as well, you know, like especially to the public in general, but to you guys, that's huge information. Having a dyno where that dyno can translate how suspension reacts to a shim stack, to compression, to the front end getting pushed down, and then the rebound coming out. You guys having that data to tell you, hey, when this gets put under this much pressure, then it gets released under that much pressure that quickly. This is how it's reacting. This is the chart that we're going to be able to see. And, I know John was breaking up, but just from the little bit that we got from him, it sounds like you guys are obviously very, very, very involved and want to make it as realistic as possible and taking all of the correct steps to make it that way. And I think having Racetech as a partner for you guys is going to be huge, and having access to that data on the dyno is going to make it just that next step of realism. You're going to have that next step of realism out of the game that nobody else has. And I think that's important.
It's been, Racetech has been amazing. They just treat us like family when we were there, and basically anything you need, come in. And, for me, I was just shooting a bunch of video, and they set up all kinds of, mock simulations on their machines and just for me, which I thought was really cool. But their involvement with just giving us is really any data that we want on anything, whether it be bike weights, engine dynos, suspension dynos, anything. They'll pretty much an open book for us. Really is going to help us create the most realistic simulator ever.
Wow. That's cool. So talked about physics a little bit. One of the biggest things, I think, just to touch on some points is, you're creating it from the ground up. This is not a cut and paste. This is not a cut and paste deal. So this is why, part of the deal why it's going to take so long. Also part of the deal why you guys want to get some donations on your Kickstarter. The more money that you guys can get, the quicker you can get it done. But I mean, having that information from Race Tech too is another big.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people. This is going to get a little technical on the gaming side of things, but when we announced that the game was in Unreal Engine 5, there's a lot of people that were like, oh gosh, Unreal Engine 5's physics engine, as far as its vehicle engine, is not great. And that's why we're doing it from the ground up, we wanted to create our own vehicle engine with quite literally from one line of code to the final product. We're not taking anything from anywhere else. And it's all just with that goal of creating the most intuitive and realistic simulator that there is. Because as you alluded to earlier, there are some games out there that, the learning curve is so just enormous that it turns people away. Yep. And I can say that there's games that I just refuse to even try because I don't have the time to invest into them.
Yes.
And while we need to make sure that the skill ceiling is beyond high, right? Like that's the biggest thing with a game is making sure that it's accessible for everybody, but it has the highest ceiling. And I've referenced it a few times, but I think Fortnite, I know that it's kind of a mixed, people either like Fortnite or they don't, but that was, in my opinion, like the epitome of having a game that at its base was super simple, but the skill ceiling was so much higher than people even realized, and it took them years to even actually reach it, and which is why that game did so well.
And is still doing
and
so
is still doing well.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, let's just be realistic. If you're part of Fortnite, you're making some dough.
Yeah, it's the biggest. Yeah, I tried. I tried years ago. I tried to go pro. But
hey, dude, there's some 12-year-olds on there. I just can't. I gave up. I'm not a big gun game guy. I'm sorry. I'm a racing game guy. I can't. I don't know what it is, but 7 dudes can't shoot for shit. So let's talk about something I'm really excited about. Cross-platform. We are going to be able to play online, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, all together. What?
Yep. Yeah, I feel like this is finally just accepting the next generation of consoles and really adapting to the standard, in my opinion, of what a game should be nowadays. It's been done a million times in other genres that crossplay is basically a bare minimum, in my opinion, now. And so we want to make sure that we have that. And it has never been done in a motocross game before. And I think that it is just going to solve a lot of issues that we see on other games of maybe lobbies not being full, track rotations being, stuck to the same few tracks. Well, that comes down, in my opinion, to player base. And so by having it cross-platform against console and PC, there should be an ample amount of players so that not only can you play with your friends, but there should be a lot larger of a pool of content to be able to be played.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. When they told me, when I got on the team and they were like, yep, we're doing crossplay and that's what we're doing, I was like, let's go, I didn't know until they told me, and this was, months and months and months ago, but I was so excited.
Yeah. Like when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, baby Jesus.
Yeah.
8 pound,
for real.
6 ounce baby Jesus sitting in your manger. You know what I mean? I was like, this is going to be this is going to be the best.
Yeah.
Online lobbies. Where are we at? Are we going to be full race sim? Are we limited to like 12, 15? What's the lobbies looking like?
No, if you've been following our Instagram content, you may have seen that we put out, somebody asked a question on that very exact question, how many people will be on the gate? And the answer we put out was 40, but we're also interested in maybe some larger scale things like beach races, which have a larger player pool.
Oh my gosh, would that be sick or what?
Yeah. But we can go 40 for sure. 40-man nationals.
Oh my gosh, to be able to do that beach race with like a freaking 90 homies would be insane.
I mean,
maybe not 90. I know what you mean. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I get what you're saying. But if we could get 50 guys, you know what I mean? That would be, wow. I just got even more excited. Okay.
But at least, 20s for Soupy, 40-man gates for outdoors for sure.
Okay, cool. That makes me really happy. Are we allowed to talk about a certain maybe stamina system that you guys want to incorporate? Because that got me really excited.
I can allude to that a little bit. There's going to be an official announcement here I think, when is this going to go out?
Probably Monday.
Okay, this Monday night should be out by then. But yeah.
No, it actually might be out sooner. Because we got the Kickstarter, right? We gotta get people on the Kickstarter. So it's probably gonna be out in 2 days. Friday. Yeah. So we're gonna have this thing out on Friday.
All right. Well, then we still can talk about it.
Okay. Sick.
Yeah. So a stamina system is something that we've been throwing around for a while. And like I said, there will be an official announcement on that. Should be the 21st of November. And basically, if you've ever ridden a dirt bike, especially on a track, you get tired, and it's even if you're Eli Tomac, at some point you get a little tired, and you have to be able to manage that. And I want to put a big asterisk next to this that we're aware and conscious of. We don't want to limit you to a play style, right? So I'm not saying we're going to put a stam system in so you have to ride like Jet Lawrence where you skip around everywhere and really conserve energy. But we want to provide another layer of opportunity for the player where, man, if I want to pull a Ken Roxon and if I get hole shot, I want to sprint and put a big gap and then manage the rest of the race. You can do that, but there will be a consequence for building that gap in the beginning. Or if I want to be a little bit more conservative in the beginning and kind of let the race come to me, Dungy kind of a thing, and then sprint on the last few laps.
Oh my gosh, this is sick.
So I think it will just it'll also help with, I think, people riding a little bit more clean because we're trying to combat, if you guys have played any game online, the guy that just comes like fifth wicked into the corner and T-bones you, right? Like just chooses not to turn. Well,
we've all been there once or twice.
Yeah. I mean, I've also been that guy, right?
Yeah. So that's what I mean. We've been teed up, and then we've also been the rage guy that's just like, I'm done. Skew. Yeah. This is over.
So, I think it'll help combat some of that because contact and stuff will lower that. We know that it's going to require a lot of testing and a lot of balance. And so I don't want to freak anybody out that like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to, go fast. Like, no, that's not what it is. We just want to create another element, right? Yes. That allows you to have to manage something else. And I think it'll be really, really cool. But obviously we understand that, there are people out there that like Hayden, Deegan, and Tomac that, I don't know, they just don't seem to get as tired somehow. But, so that needs to be a possibility as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, wow. That,
very cool.
Chauncey, when I heard that, it's just like that. I mean, I don't know how to get any more excited for a video game, but I even got more excited because it's just like, I'm not really thinking about it as like, what do you want to call it? Like, wearing you out or like being something that's bad. I'm thinking about it like, how cool is it that not only do you have to ride, do you have to race, you have to look at, track development, how that's going on. But, it's another real life thing of like, shit, dude, when I was racing, if I was sick or I didn't eat right or, something were to happen, I'd be more tired that day, and I'd have to figure out and come up with a strategy of like, how hard do I push in qualifying? What am I doing to get the most amount of rest to kind of save for when I need it to happen, and all those types of things. And to have that in the game, to where it creates this whole nother level and depth of strategy that you have to involve. It's not just about, and that's what racing a dirt bike is. It's not just about pinning it 24/7, because if you pin it too hard, if Jet goes too hard and he gasses himself out, he can only do one super pole lap. Like we watched it in Paris this weekend. He can't go that fast every single lap like you can in a video game. And that's what's happened in video games, is these guys just go out and they sprint as fast as you can. And that's not what real racing is. Racing is risk versus reward. You go out, you sprint, you get the gap so nobody can mess with you. You find a groove, you conserve your energy, and then when a guy at the end of the race kind of makes that push, you have that little bit of extra energy to make the push. And that's what happens, and that's the benefits of getting a whole shot. But when you're in 10th place or 11th place and you're fighting the whole entire time, you don't have that extra push at the end that you would normally have. So that makes the game where it's like, oh man, it's even more crucial to get a start, to not crash, because that could take some of your stamina away, which is so true in real racing. It's not just the tip over that kind of hinders you. It's that, oh man, I just had to pick up my bike. My heart rate just spiked up to 190, all this stuff. Then I got to get back on the bike. Then I got to fight even harder and try to put faster laps in. Well, it's harder to put faster laps in when you're fatigued. So this brings that a whole nother level of realism to this game that I think is it's just going to set it so far apart.
It reminds me of like in sim racing games, car racing games, you have to manage tires, right?
Yeah,
like it's the same kind of thing. You can sprint super, super hard, but you're going to wear your tires out, and then you're going to be cooked the rest of the race.
Done.
And I kind of look at it similar to that, right? Yeah. It doesn't completely ruin your entire race. I mean, and especially in a shorter race where you don't have pit stops, but it's still something you have to think about the whole time. That like, I got to make sure I'm not having a ton of wheel spin everywhere and ruining my tires.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. Okay. I mean, I could talk about the stamina system all day long, but we're gonna
be an official announcement tomorrow.
Okay, cool, awesome. So equal bikes for online, but there will be tuning, correct?
Yeah. So this is because it's esports focused, and again, I try not to reference other games, but if you see some of the other games, there's always a meta. And what that ends up doing is there ends up being in a 40-man gate, there will be 38 riders on one color.
Yep.
And it just
it's so true too. Oh my gosh.
Isn't great. I really do like the ability to jump on different bikes and they feel different, but from a competitive standpoint, it's a lot better, especially as we're bringing brands in, to level the playing field. That way, it's not just all orange, and then other brands are like, hey man, like we put our bike in there. We want to be seen too. And so we want to make sure that all the bikes are on a level playing field. There will be a tuning ability, but it'll be more to kind of just suit your specific play style, but removing meta. That way we have a colorful gate. Brands can all be represented. People don't feel like, oh, well, he's on this bike, so he's obviously going to do a lot better than me. And I'm on this bike because I like this bike, or I have one in real life, right? Because I know that's a lot of people. They spend tons of money in real life on a brand that they really enjoy. They want to use it in the game.
Yeah.
Well, then they can't because the Suzuki's slow in the game,
Dude, that and I know that's you're laughing, but it's so true because like I played Supercross the Game 3 quite a bit. I love that game. I did some esports racing, some online stuff. And I'm a Suzuki guy. I love Suzuki. But really, dude, the bike was so freaking bad in the game coming out of the corner because they took all the bottom end away from the bike that I had to ride a KTM, then try to come up with graphics that looked white So I wasn't online playing as a Suzuki, but it still says KTM by my name. And then honestly, as a player, it limits you so much on your creativity and your outlook and your expression of who you are as a racer, because you're limited to like, okay, I can only use a KTM because that's what's going to be competitive. And I have to use this, this, and this to make sure that it's the right combination. And then on top of that, I only have a limited graphics gear combination that I can be or have. And then, you know, you go on an esports team that's made, and I mean, I know we're geeking out here, but you know, if you have an esports team that you want to be on with your homies, it has to be a KTM, and then you can change gear or graphics, but there's only an X amount of graphics that you can do. And that's what I liked about MX bikes, is like, it was unlimited, you know, you could kind of, there's so many different things, but having that aspect, and that's why I brought it up, of equal bikes online is so important for us as gamers to be able to express ourselves, to be able to have our own setup, our own gear, our own graphics, and everybody be even that much more different.
Even in bikes, you know, you reference MX bikes, like I play MX bikes now, I guess, at a professional level where there's the pro races and we're all trying to qualify every week. Literally in a supercross race where there's, you know, 40 guys going to 2 different heats, there will be 4 other bikes that are not KTM.
And
it's usually a Husky, which is kind of the same thing. And then I just planted my flag, was like, no, dude, I'm riding something different. I don't care, you know? And so it'll be KTM, Husky, and then all the way down the list, and then you'll see a Honda, and it'll be me, you know? Or for outdoors, I was running the 2023 Yamaha, you know? I was the only one on it or whatever. But just trying to get rid of that. So it feels better, you know? At the beginning of a game, when nobody knows the meta, or beginning of a season or whatever, and you look down the line and it's just colorful or something on the start gate, it feels better, you know?
It looks sick. It really
looks
does.
Good,
Yep. Bike and jersey customizations. Is it going to be limited to what you guys offer in the game? Is there going to be add-ons? How much creativity are you going to allow us to have in that aspect?
Okay, hold on, I gotta think how I gotta word that.
Oh, we're getting them in the corner. Let's go. This is what podcasts are for. Don't mess up, Chauncey.
No. It'll be limited to what we provide. However, we want to make sure that we provide as many options as possible. The big thing that I wanted to touch on with customization is font sizes, number sizes for jerseys, and font and number variation is something that we're aware of and also very passionate about, and are in agreement with the community that we need to make sure that it fits and looks well. And
it doesn't need to be itty bitty little numbers on the back side of the jersey, you know, or way too big, or, you know, it definitely needs to be adjustable.
And options, you know?
Yes. What about being able to put sponsors on our jerseys where we want to?
Yeah, I think it would potentially be, you know, I don't really have an answer on that. But I don't see why not, if they're partnered with the game already, why that couldn't be a possibility. Again, this all comes back to the esports side of things. And I think the community has to realize that if we're putting on a big LAN event where there's 50 people racing in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people, we want to make sure that the brands that have partnered with us feel represented well. And there's a very difficult line to balance there if we give too much freedom. I guess let's put it this way. There's a reason in Call of Duty that they removed custom emblems, because people were putting back in the day in Call of Duty, you could create your own emblem and gamer tag. Well, it turned not safe for work, right? And not great. And we want to give as much customization possibilities as possible. We want to make sure that everyone involved feels the integrity of the team and feels represented well.
Yep.
And so there's just a line we have to maneuver there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on. Let's see. This is a loaded question. This is a very loaded question. Yep. So let's talk rut development. How is that going to work? Are we going to get progressive ruts? Are the ruts already going to be there? Will there be designated ruts? Will it actually form where we make them? You can't answer that. What can you say about ruts in the game?
I think probably look at it a combination of both. And from our experience in other games, having a smooth track that just deforms naturally doesn't always work the way it is intended, but having some ruts on the track, that are sculpted with the track really help kind of guide things. But as far as active kind of developing erode is what we would call it. We have a full-time designated Unreal Engine engineer working on that.
Wow. So you just have a guy for ruts.
Yeah.
Okay, that's sick.
For deformation, right? Like we have a guy developing that system, and that's his entire purpose. I don't want to say in life, but in my idea in life is is to create a really good, natural, and intuitive erosion system.
Yeah. Is there anything else? I have a few more questions. But is there anything else that you want to talk about in the game that you think people should know about that we didn't cover?
Honestly, we've gone through I was gonna say we've covered a lot of stuff, and I think we're good. I think just reinforcing that the team is dedicated to making the most intuitive and realistic simulator possible, and we are the community as much as you guys are the community, and your concerns are our concerns, which is why we're here in the first place.
Love that. Yep. So last two questions.
Let's go.
Let's talk about the team. Just give us a rundown. Let's give us a rundown of the team and their accolades. That way people can get hyped up and just know what's going on.
Yeah, we have an incredible team. Just absolutely. You want me to restart that when I'm looking at the camera?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
We have an incredible team. Nico is leading us. We have people on the team. Steffi Bao.
Yep.
She's just an absolute powerhouse in the gaming and motocross world. She's a 3-time motocross world champion. She's kind of like the GOAT of women's motocross. Like
I know who you're talking about.
She might be Ricky Carmichael, as a female. Yeah.
Yep.
And she's also on the Global Esports Federation. She's on the board.
Yep.
And so she just brings so much knowledge and just experience in both the motocross industry. She has so many connections, as well as being on the board for the Global Esports Federation.
Yeah.
I mean, gives us so much opportunity for esports, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And she's just been incredible. Then we have Stone Rider. He's kind of the person that started Aerial in MX Bikes, which is the pro scene in MX Bikes. And so he's very passionate about esports and is really helping, drive that side of things. And then we have JV, which if you guys have played MX Bikes at all ever, you probably know a JV track.
Yep.
JV is, known in our community for making really good tracks, but this guy's like a world-class 3D artist. I mean, he's worked on Star Wars. He's worked on Netflix series. Like, I think, you know, I see comments sometimes of people saying like, oh, you know, these guys are all just gamers, or, you know, how do they know how to make a game? And I'm like, these guys are insane. You know, I mean,
like, bro, anybody who's worked on Star Wars, that checks the box for me.
Yeah,
bro.
I mean, like, you think they're just gonna let anybody, you know, work on that stuff, or Lost in Space, or you know, he mentioned he did a little work on the ships for Game of Thrones. I mean, the dude is just
top
so
tier.
far beyond what he's, you know, capable of in our scene. And all, you know, at the beginning of the show, you mentioned how incredible. Yeah. You know, you mentioned how good everything looked. Well, that's because of the 3 guys that are working on our visual team. They're just world-class artists.
Yeah.
His good friend is Eric, and he's our senior motion designer, and he is also just simply incredible. I'm a big fan of him personally. And then we already talked with John.
Yep.
And he does a lot of our artistic direction, as well as big in the physics design department, obviously. That's why we reached out to him. Yep. Then there's me. Just you know, Doc, I guess. You know, I kind of went over my stuff.
Yep.
And then the other huge one is Checkers, or Chris, with Race Tech. And he has been so invaluable for us in just, again, bridging the gap between his relationships and, you know, bringing them to us, as well as just his knowledge. He's worked on, you know, my personal favorite MX vs. ATV. I know this is going to stir the pot big time, but my personal favorite was Alive. It wasn't Reflex.
Yep.
And he was a big driving point behind that Stewart compound.
Yeah.
Which was revolutionary for the time, you know, having James Stewart in a game and that compound. It was insane. And
I mean, I literally bought the game and got the Stewart compound just because of that.
Of course. Yeah.
Like,
so
I didn't get it when I first got it. Like, I did not get MX vs. ATV Alive when it first came out, but when the Stewart compound came out, I got the game and played it. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, I probably have 10,000 laps on that track. On
well, like, okay, here's a cool little tidbit. I actually got to ride that track.
Oh, really?
Dude, scariest track I've ever ridden in my life.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it doesn't really look tame.
No, it's not like it was one of the scariest moments of my life, doing and riding at that track, because they don't ever prep it. Okay. And then, so all the faces were ruts from left to right. And the problem with that is you're not just at like a regular track where the ruts were straight. Every rut was turned completely one direction off the face of the lip. So like the landing and the jump went this way, but the ruts on the face were like this. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I had to do the jumps the first time with a scrub. And these aren't little jumps. We're talking like 70-foot doubles. You know, I had plenty of run going in, but like, I didn't have James to follow off the thing because he wasn't riding at that point. And then Malcolm was out of town, and we had just gone there for the weekend to go check out the track and ride the Supercross track. But I was like, I have to do the outdoor track. You know, you can't not do it. I had to say, like, I didn't go to James Stewart's house and not jump all the outdoor jumps.
Right.
No, but
no, that track doesn't look like it looks fun.
Yeah.
But it looks like I'd be absolutely terrified the whole time.
Yes.
And probably crash.
Dude, I mean, it's terrifying. But back to it. Is there anybody else on the team that you want to talk about?
And then we have an entire studio in France actually working on kind of the behind the scenes, you know, the menus and the race system and the data and all that stuff, all that behind the scenes stuff. And so we have a pretty stacked team that's, you know, just really well-rounded and kind of the best of the best in all of the categories. And it's it's growing as well. And we continue to find people and add people that are good fits. And it's just been awesome,
Yep. Cool. Well, let's wrap this thing up. Let's get to the end of this. Let's talk about the Kickstarter. What do we need? Where are we at? So where are we at money-wise on the Kickstarter right now?
At the point of today, 11/20, we're at about 93,000 out of 100,000 with 5 days to go. Okay. So we are right there at the end and just need to make it over that little final push. Very, very close. And to answer some questions I've seen on social media, when the 100,000 is reached, the Kickstarter will actually stay open for, they call it late pledges, which means you'll be able to continue to donate to the project as we put up updates out and as we eventually release gameplay and all these things that will help us just continue to reach our goals faster. And we're 5 days away with about $7,000 left. And while that seems doable, I want to make sure that we hit that for sure. Because Kickstarter is one of those things where it's all or nothing, in the sense, if we make $99,999 and the timer runs out, we don't get a penny of it. Yeah. And so
nobody else spends any money either,
Yeah. No money comes out of your pocket. It's just kind of everyone just, that was done, and so the money doesn't come out until we hit the 100,000, then it'll pull it from everybody. But yeah, we're close. We're right there, man. We're in the last big push,
Okay, well, with that being said, to all you guys listening, to anybody, tell your friends. These guys have won a world-class team, and they need that last $7,000. Please donate. These guys are so close to getting there, and we really need we need to give them that little last push. We need to give them some help. And, that's partially why I did this podcast too, is to help people out that want to grow the motocross community and add to it. And I really feel like Motocross the Game and all you guys over there are just doing us a huge favor. Anybody that can get more involved in racing, whether it's through video games or whatever it is important for our community. And that's what we need. If it takes $7,000 more to get us to that 100,000, or to get you, I love how I say us, but hey, to get you guys, we're here, but to get you guys over that last hump, and it's just going to make the game that much better. It's going to be able to help you guys pay for whoever you need, whatever you need to get that extra push, to make the game the way that we all want it. And I really feel that you guys have the best interest in mind for all of us gamers, for the motocross community, and we really, really appreciate that. Chauncey, thank you so much. Again, guys, go to the Kickstarter, donate, get these guys over the last little hump. If you don't believe in it, listen to the podcast again. Go to their Instagram. Check out the videos, the clips that they have going on. These guys are the real deal. Let's get them over this last little hump. And Chauncey, thank you so much for being on the podcast. That was awesome. Definitely dream come true to have you guys on and have a game that's going to be created like this. I'm very, very excited, very passionate about video games when I get to play now, and hopefully I'll have some really cool experiences with all my buddies and my friends playing this game. So excited.
Well, thank you for having me. And I just wanted to thank, while we're just about almost there, we need a little bit of pushing over. I wanted to just thank everyone that has already donated. It really means the world to us that so many people have believed. And it's been really cool to read the comments of people been like, oh man, we see the team. This is going to be awesome. Hands down, like no questions asked. And I'm just really grateful to be a part of it and to see the community kind of rally around us has been really, really awesome. The real life, the real racing industry has been extremely welcoming, podcasts and all kinds of things. And it's just been a huge blessing. And so I just want to say thank you to you as well. And yeah, we're excited.
Cool. Well, Chauncey, that wraps this thing up, dude. Thank you again. I know I've said it before, but thank you so much for being on the podcast. I look forward to all the announcements to come on the game. And if you guys haven't, go donate. This is episode 33 of Track Talkers. Peace.
See ya.